Hi, I have an enormous update for you all, and that is that, oh my God, I have so many fucking things. Let's start with I reconnected with my birth mother. This is the third day now that I've been in contact with her, and like, I was texting her a lot of the day yesterday. She's exactly like me. I had reached out like maybe a month or two ago. It was the day after, no, it was, okay, it was September 26th. I remember we figured out the date. Anyways, I had found her number on True People search with my girlfriend's help, and I didn't know like if it was her number. But I left a message on the answering machine and with like my phone number and my new name and everything. And I got a text message the other day when I was on my way to my friend Colby's to watch Star Trek. And they were like, hey, does this number still belong to Phoenix? And I was like, yeah, who's this? And they were like, it's Karen, blah, 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 because that's my birth mom's name. And I was like, I don't know any Karens. Like, it wasn't clicking. And then I was like, oh my God, holy shit, holy fuck. And then, yeah, we were catching up and I decided, I was like, listen, all of the messages of like my tarot and astrology have said that I need to be exactly me and unapologetically myself no matter what situation. So I just started like following how it felt like I should be interacting with her, and I just started like sharing a bunch of stuff. Like she was like, she's a 911 operator, and so she's like at work and can't text me back all the time, but she's like, it's totally fine to like, text me and I'll get back whenever I can. And so I was like sending her messages of like different things, like my doodles, my dog, my glasses, my tattoos, just stuff that like I'm interested in or I do. And it's crazy because when I showed her my doodles, she was like, oh my gosh, I used to doodle. And they looked a lot like the top two things that you sent me, which I'll put in here what those look like. So like, I get that from her as well. There's so many parts of myself that I am now seeing come directly from her. The first thing I did was to tell her like the reason that I wanted to contact you is mainly because like I've been wanting to talk to her, but like since I figured out that I'm autistic and that's genetic, and the way that my adoptive mother, described her, I'm like, okay, she's gotta be. And so I let her know that before I went and did my Star Trek thing. I was like, the genetic thing is that I'm autistic with ADHD. And then I laid the non-binary thing on her. She was super cool with that. I asked her what her religious and political affiliations were because I was like trying to figure out if she was a safe person, and I directly told her that. And so far, she's so fucking cool. And I've never felt this kinship before that I feel with her, like the feeling that I get. So I've had a bunch of astrological things and tarot readings saying that soon I'm going to experience a feeling I've never felt before. And obviously, since I haven't ever felt any feeling like that I haven't felt before, I'm not going to be able to fathom what that is. And then last night, as I was talking to her, I had this feeling, which I kept telling my girlfriend. I was like, I don't know what I feel right now, but I feel good. And this morning I deduced that it was safety, because for my entire fucking life I have been in fight or flight mode. And I learned a huge reason as to why, because since I now have this connection with my biological mother and I feel this kinship to her, and like it's triggered this feeling of safety. It's like my brain has allowed me to remember the thing that I have been trying to fucking remember forever. I talk about all the time how I cannot remember my childhood. It's just a big fucking blur. I have no idea what happened in my childhood to cause this, but I've been trying to uncover it. And the last several years, I've had inklings of like, I've always been very fascinated with dissociative identity disorder, with near-death experiences, with just all sorts of unusual things, I think, for people to be like so fascinated with. And since being in these relationships where I feel like I am heard and people are paying attention to me, I am having instances where now I'm recognizing that I've actually lost time. I'm not remembering, like there's more that I'm not remembering. And like, cause my partners will tell me all the time, you know, oh, cause you said this. We were talking about this and you said this. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you talking? Like, and there's so many instances of that. And I'm like, I mean, I don't remember saying that. It sounds like something I could say, whatever. And just like all these other instances, I've suspected that I might have dissociative identity disorder. And now this memory that I have unlocked last night, would make sense that I would develop dissociative identity disorder, because you have to have like a severe traumatic experience within like a certain window at a very young age, at the age that I believe I was when this fucking happened to me. And I think I experienced like a reintegration of sorts also. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So last night I like was having this weird, all of a sudden I was remembering this instance in like 8th grade where I was like forced to take a swim class with everybody and they made me jump into the deep end off the diving board. And I had dissociated from that experience. I had an out of body experience, like, and I was like seeing it from outside of the school gate, like watching everything happen, like jump into the deep end or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, that explains my fear of water. And then that jogged my memory to this fucking little blip of a memory that I've discounted as like a dream for my whole life, because it has shown up in the form of dreams, but it's also been like just something that I've thought about in waking life. And it's this memory of me being very, very, very small and being underwater, just like standing underwater and looking straight up, and I can see the top of the water and I can see all of the sunlight. And like, I don't have any fear or panic, and like, I don't feel any pain or anything. And I'm just looking straight up. And like, I've had dreams over my whole life where like, if I've been under the water, I can breathe just fine underwater. And I feel safe and fine under the water. But like, I have other dreams where I'm like on top of the water. And it's like, I've had a fear of like water my whole life in like various degrees. Like, I like swimming and stuff, but there's always just been this thing. And so after remembering that, and then remembering the 8th grade thing, and then that leading into that memory, it then all of a sudden started flooding back to me of me walking into that pool as a small fucking child, where if you get below, so I was below what 4 feet tall, because that has to be like how much that water is, because the steps down into the pool, you know, that's always like the shallow end of the pool where it's like 3 to 4 feet deep, and it goes deeper and deeper to the other end. And like, I had to have been just below the surface. Like, I remember walking into the fucking pool, and like, I don't remember anybody pulling me out. I don't remember experiencing any pain. What I do remember is consistent with what I've seen with like near-death experiences, where you don't feel fear, you don't feel pain and everything, because your body, like, you dissociate from your body. And I'm sure that I'm going to remember more about this, but like, I never received any type of like counseling like this. And I think that what happened was I was being babysat by somebody, and they lost track of me. And I went outside and got in the pool because I wanted to swim, and I was drowning. I was probably unconscious, and they probably had to perform CPR on me. And my thought is that they were so afraid of like letting my parents know that I almost fucking died, and like dealing with the ramifications of that, that they just like, they brought me back to and made sure I was okay, probably asked me questions about what I remember. We're like, okay, they don't remember, so let's just like hope that this doesn't come up. And so I don't know if so I emailed my adoptive mother. I haven't had contact with them in a while, and I emailed them from the only email address that they have for me, that's my dead name, and asked her, I was like, do you remember that I drowned? Like, do you remember me drowning? Is this something you're aware of? Because I feel like if they were made aware of that and then didn't get me any type of help, that's so fucking wrong. And if they didn't fucking know, it would make so much sense as to why I felt this, I was in constant like fight or flight and felt this sense that I was just not safe. And I've had intense fantasies of tragedy through my life, like whether it's breaking a bone, losing a relative, getting cancer, so that somebody can see that I am not okay and that I need help. And so it's just like everything is making so much fucking sense to me. And I don't know what else I'm going to remember, because like that little memory followed me around as just like this little blip that I discounted because I had split from it and didn't know what happened. So like I had no context for it. There are other blips of things that follow me around that I don't want to talk about right now that are probably going to be other memories that I fucking unlock and discover and maybe get to like heal my mind. Because if I do have dissociative identity disorder, which would make sense, drowning as a toddler, and if what I experienced last night was a sort of reintegration of a couple, like there could be other splits. And when I heal those memories, when I heal that trauma and process it, I can, you know, maybe reintegrate everything and be whole again. I don't know if that's a thing with dissociative identity disorder. I have been fascinated with it, and I've looked into it like maybe just below the surface level, like, and it's been it would make so many things make fucking sense. And coupled with the fact that I'm autistic and was undiagnosed with that my entire life and have been so high masking, I feel like that makes sense to me as to why having DID would have also gone unnoticed, because I feel like my alters, if I have alters, they all behave similarly, but it's maybe whether or not I can remember. I don't know. I want to describe the reintegration thing that I was talking about. So last night, after I remembered that, I had an intense like response in my body, which is consistent with each other time that I've like healed different traumatic things that I've remembered. Like it's this release, and then I feel like I've been in some sort of like a car accident. My entire body is like, holy fuck, and I have no energy. And today I have a trauma hangover. But like, so during part of it, I had got up to take Odin outside. And when I was coming back inside, I was noticing the way that I was feeling my body, which was that I wasn't telling my body what to do. My body was in autopilot, but I was present behind my eyeballs for the autopilot. So I could see and I could speak. So I could see and speak, but I wasn't in control of what my body was doing, and I couldn't feel what my body was doing. And my body, like I was either putting on or taking off the clothes to go outside for Odin. And I was describing to my girlfriend that I was present here and that I can say what's going on, but like I'm not in control of what's happening with my body right now, and I'm not connected to my body. And then earlier when we were like talking, normally when I'm having a conversation with somebody, especially if I look at them in the eyes, I have to pull myself back from like dissociating out of the conversation. And I have to like constantly work with context clues to piece together what it is that like people are in the middle of fucking saying. And this morning, whenever I was talking to my girlfriend in the kitchen, I wasn't experiencing the dissociative thing that I always experience when I'm talking to people, which is me not being able to pay attention and like having to pull myself back. So I feel like maybe that is more evidence that whatever I described is, you know, maybe some form of like reintegration. I don't fucking know. All I know is that So many things are about to change. All more of the messages that have been consistent in my astrology and tarot and stuff have been that I'm about to discover an entirely new me, that I am going to awaken my true fucking self. And I've been on this journey of self-discovery for several years. And yeah, it like, I don't know how to put into words, though I probably could if I spent enough time thinking about it, because that apparently is also part of my, like a big part of me is my communication and my ability to like bridge the gaps between people and like have good connective experiences with people and conveying messages clearly. Yeah. So huge, big, enormous things are taking place in my life, and I thought maybe y'all would like to know about it. Okay, bye.